Welcome to the Ultimate Bloons TD6 strategy series, where I'm going to be showing you strategies for every single tower from the Dart Monkey to the Beast Handler and every single path in between. This will show you how to diversify your setup and get better, along with seeing some stats, tips and tricks, and all of the strategies for every single one of the towers. And although that the series is geared more towards Chimps mode, this will also show you a lot of tips and tricks that apply to the standard game and will allow you to win with a new style. So we're going to be moving on to the next path, Super Monkeys, which is the middle, where we have the Tech Tear and the Robo, and this is back to back from the other episode of Sun Avatar. That's because there's going to be something special potentially tomorrow, so watch out for that. Anyways, the Robo Monkey does crazy mid-game damage and can be used as a late-game spam strategy, and the Tech Tear does late-game damage, which is really cool. The Anti-Bloon is a little bit out of realms for cost for these videos, so we're just going to skip over that. Poor Anti-Bloon. Rosalia would be sad. Anyways, looking at the stats, the Tech Tear and Robo Monkey actually have quite insane stats. The boost of damage from the Robo to Tech Tear isn't that big, but the Tech Tear gains this crazy nuke ability, which is kind of like, I guess, the Ground Zero, but just literally better. That's kind of how I describe it, and it also is a pretty cool main attack too. So they're just really cool, really awesome, and I guess you'll kind of get that vibe that these towers are just pretty cool. And if you haven't been using Robos or a Tech Tear to get black borders, you definitely should try it out because they actually are pretty strong. Now for the cross path, you could either go for the plasma or just the ultra vision. So 2XO, so 230, 240, or 031 or 2 if you need to get the ultra vision for camo. And then if you're going for the bottom path for the Tech Tear, always get the ultra vision because it will make it clear the DDTs a lot easier. But for the Robos, if you kind of just need more damage base, then you should go for the plasma. But if you need in terms of a robo spam strategy, one of them should get the knockback, so you get that benefits and you can pop the purples. And for the Tech Tear, it will make the ability push things back, which is pretty cool. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Anyways, going on to the buffs, when you have one lone Tech Tear or Robo Monkey for like a mid game, you can alch buff it. You do not want to alch buff them when you're doing a spam strategy because you're going to be getting a ton of them, and it's going to be a lot cheaper to get a big debuff like a glue storm. That's just going to be more effective. So only alch buff it if it's alone, but having a embrittlement would help a lot. And then when you're going for your big debuff spam strategy with a ton of robos, that's where you bring out the big guns like the glue storm, and they're going to be going absolutely insane. Robo Monkey, as I said, most of its damage is gained through that big nuke ability, so we aren't really going to be adding any more buffs to that. Not really worth it. A overclock would not be worth it in this case because you aren't going to be getting benefit from the overclock with that nuke ability. And for maps it's good on, it's going to be maps where they can be positioned in the back and have the balloons come into them, so they can shoot into the balloons, not at the balloons. It's going to be making things a little bit more effective. It's kind of the same with the Sun Avatar, but it's not as bad if you can't get this specific case because of like the dual targeting, and it has better pierce. Anyways, for heroes, you could use pretty much like any hero if you're going to just be using it for the mid game. It's going to depend on late game spam strategy, and you can also use Tech Tear with a bunch of heroes too, but Geraldo is really great, and we'll look at that later. So the pros is that it does insane damage for its price, amazing abilities, great mid game, overall amazing tower. Its con is that it's a little bit tricky to build into a robo spam, and you need to watch out for the ability for Tech Tear. So look at this, it is X Factor. This map absolutely stinks, and a lot of people know that. So we're going to be taking on this hard map with a great strategy, and I was actually going to do the Sun Avatars for this map. I was like, okay, we need to pull out X Factor. Sometimes this is a tricky map, and I can't just like show super easy maps when I do a lot of these examples to show like that a tower is good and you can use it in many situations. But for the Sun Avatars, it kind of just stank. Like it was not good, and there was like a lot of dying, and I'm like, this is too much for showing an example strategy. So I decided that we'll do that one on Pat's Pond instead, and we're going to be bringing out the Robos here. So this is going to be the Robo Spam strategy with Geraldo. It's kind of the basic one. If you don't know how this works already, you get a bunch of 0-0 Dart Monkeys and all the other stuff you need, surround them by 3 discounts, and then with Geraldo's cape you can make them super compact. They're all going to get triple discount. They're all going to get radius buffs from your embrittlement, all that kind of stuff. Everything's going to be insane. It's awesome. So you need to get a lot of like a big save up for that. So we're going to need a full early game carry when you do this, complete full early game carry. So I'm going to be bringing out on this map. It's kind of tricky, but we're going to be doing Never Miss here. Never Miss isn't actually like even that good on this map, but to be honest, there's like really nothing that's good on this map, so it's kind of better than the other options. So yeah, I guess we're just gonna have the Never Miss sit in the middle, which if you did not know is kind of a bad thing, but there really is. I guess you could like retarget it every single round so it's in an optimal position, but I was too lazy for that, so I just got that there. Alk buffed it, use some Geraldo items, that's gonna take out the round super easy, and then we'll just be putting like Camo Pot, Sharp Stone, Pickle, all that stuff to keep it beating some of these rounds while we build up our triple discount. Right there, we're gonna have one of them with drums, one just extra range, another one's gonna get camo later on, so that's gonna be really nice. We definitely don't have enough camo pots on Geraldo to get everything camo, and then we're gonna get all the dart monkeys in. Normally you want to do 4 or 5 robo monkeys. If you're on an easier map, you can get a little crazy and maybe even do 6. I got 4 here, and we're just going to start upgrading one of them into Plasma with Robo. So when it comes to the cross paths, I said I would talk about this later. The 230 is just going to do more damage, but you usually want to get one 031 or 032, just depending if you want to get that camo. It's not going to give them too much benefit. It's only on the Tech Terror you're going to get the benefit, because it's going to allow it to take out the DDTs way easier. If we just have one guy with the sharp projectile, it's not really going to be doing too much, because it can only kill the DDT when it's debuffed. But it's mostly to take out the purples, because that can be a real issue a lot of times when you're using just only Plasma. In this case, it probably would not have been, but it's something just to get used to. And you'll also get the knockback effect, which will help out take like Bloons out a lot easier, and the knockback is nice. So just one of them, all you need is just one of them, and that will be good. I'm gonna get Bunny too, because why not? Bunny's fun. It's gonna be a crazy little bunny going everywhere. And then but the rest of them are gonna be 230, dealing more damage, having Plasma, and that's gonna be good. And then when it comes for the Tech Terror, you can do the same thing. The 240 will deal more damage, but the 042 will take out the T's easier, of course, but it has a cool little interaction where when you use the ability with an 042, it will knock the Bloons back a little bit. It's a little help, so sometimes you can do it. In my example, I'm going to be doing that, but you can use the other cross path too if you want. So that's going to be nice. The 042 Tech Terror won't take out purples though. That's just something to note. Anyways, I got an embrittlement in the middle, and we're gonna put the glue behind. So another thing to note that for this strategy is that you can kind of put other like 000 towers. So if you're going for like a glue in there, you could put like a glue or an ice kind of in that mix, and when they turn into capes, they'll still stay there, so you can have all of those guys compacted in. I didn't have to put the glue in there because the glue's going to go on the outside, but that's going to be all good. The embrittlement, however, I want to get it in a good spot, so I put it in there, pre-placed it early, just plan about the future for that, and then we'll have an embrittlement in a great spot around all of these super monkeys. And I can just have a really chill time. I don't really have to use much of any Geraldo items, and we can get all of these robos up. They're just generally easier to build and to do more damage, have higher pierce than the Sun avatars, so that's pretty cool. When it comes to a spam strategy, they definitely are a lot better, and it is a really strong thing. Like you can see, this map is hard. This is a hard map, and these guys are taking everything out no problem. I'm going to be getting a glue storm for them now, and I'm going to get something to kind of deal with some leaking ceramics. So we're going to have 2 druid of the storms right there. Those tornado druids are going to help out a bit with some leaking ceramics. On like single lane maps, you can just get like 1 impact or Arctic Wind at the back. That's just going to deal with everything. And then I'm going to go for the glue storm, and we can use these abilities on ZOMGs. Now on this map, ZOMGs are particularly nasty because they like come out of the weird funnel thing, and it's just a lot all at once, depending on how it works. On regular maps, like anything that isn't X Factor, or I guess like your true experts if you're going on there, this strategy is also great on those maps too. it's going to be generally pretty easy. The ZOMGs aren't typically an issue. If you kind of have all of the everything with your glue storm and just like a little bit of support, nothing really is much of an issue, maybe besides round 100. So I'm gonna spike storm that, and with get Geraldo too, but just use that glue storm when stuff's coming out and everything will get taken care of. Round 95, I'm gonna have a Sabo here, and I'm gonna have that Sabo on round 99 too, so that's pretty good. Maybe a few presses and everything should be pretty chill. You can just use Geraldo's items here and there, and really when you're at the end of the game, you can just start spamming everything down and it's all going to be good. So again, as I mentioned, round 100 we're going to beat with a spike storm. We're just going to rejuve that spike storm and that's going to go down. And then round 98 here, I'm spamming a lot of my items. Use that glue storm. You can use those maelstroms. I was also getting those Jerry fires up too, because that's a pretty decent amount of damage, and everything just got taken out like really easy. So just beat all that up, and that's an X Factor black border right there. It might just be a little bit tricky with getting that early game carry up and getting the proper setup, but once you have it, you just have an insane amount of damage. You can also use the Robo Monkey as a great mid-game carry. Here I have a 2-3-0 doing some good damage. It won't be knocking back Bloons as much and you won't get that knockback status, but it's going to be a good option if you're looking for like some more just raw damage. And I can just put that in the setup, whatever, it's going to be doing well. Give it an alk buff too. We have that stim buffing Pat and the Robo Monkey, and in the late game it's also going to be doing a pleasant amount of damage on the side too. So it's not like it's going to completely fall off like other mid-game options. This is like more of a mid-game carry, not really though, because it still has weaknesses in mid-game, but it's pretty darn good and will help you out a lot if you need something that is maybe a little bit heavier, does a lot of Moab damage. It will also help you in the late game a bit too. So now let's take a look at our next example here, which is going to be on Rake. And this one we're going to be using the Tech Terror, and there's a bunch of ways you can use the Tech Terror. Geraldo, the Tech Terror is great with. You can also just like throw in any tower, but the reason why Geraldo is great is you can rejuve, and you can rejuve Tech Terror abilities, which you'll basically take out round 98 for just adding $2,000. You can Tech Terror ability when everything's in front of you, rejuve, use that ability again, and like literally the entire wave is gone. It is pretty darn cool. So the Tech Terror ability is just super strong with the rejuve. You can get a pretty nice clutch, and you can also use Geraldo's items for any other varying reasons. So that's going to be pretty nice. So there's also a few ways you can do this. We're going to need a bit of an early game carry, of course, as you can't really build into robos, but on easier maps an interesting option you have is that you can kind of get a base super monkey and alk buff it, and then with Geraldo's items too, it will do a lot of damage. Without Geraldo's items, maybe not as much, but we can do quite a lot with that. I would, of course, needed to get a 203 engineer down there. Just any other chimp starter that's going to be good. Submarine 202 sub, 302 ninja is going to work out really well. I just have that engineer that allowed me to go straight into my super monkey, but just an alk buffed base super monkey can do a lot. I was able to take out round 40 with that. Of course, if you can't seem to get this out work, or the map is a bit harder, then you can just do an early game carry too. No worries. So I'm going to be doing this where I go for Tech Terror and another tier 5. So Tech Terror, like just saving up for it with one Robo Monkey isn't really that good. Like you can't really seem to do it that much. So you're either going to be going for 2 Robo Monkeys, so you might have just a 2-4-3-0 and an 0-3-2, and then you'd upgrade both of those into Tech Terror, which is a great option. And then you'd have 2 Tech Terror abilities, and you can cycle them around. You can rejuve them maybe if you need it up, and that's a great option. Will do a lot of damage. The mid game is going to be super easy if you have a 2-3-0 and an 0-3-2 Robo Monkey. That will get you into your Tech Terrors, or you can do what I did here and have my Robo Monkey, and I'll just be using that with another tier 4 going into that tier 5. So I'm going to be pairing the Tech Terror here with a Bloons solver. That's going to be doing pretty good damage. It's a pretty good synergy. That Tech Terror is going to be able to take out like those higher tier Bloons, the ZOMGs, the fortified BFBs, and the Bloons solver is going to be able to take out the rest. Just get a bit of support for everything else. I'll get Bunny too. Why not? You can get Bunny if you want. And then from here, once we get that Bloons solver, we can get the Tech Terror, and everything is going to be super chill and super easy. This again is another just really good strategy. Like it's just actually good. You can do so much with it. The ability is crazy strong, and it will work on a bunch of maps too, which is really, really nice. Also, another thing that I think I forgot to mention throughout the whole video is the targeting. You have 2 targetings, and it's going to default to first and last. You cannot have them both on first. So what I tend to do is do first and close. I think this is just the most consistent. It doesn't really seem to give me any issues. First and last obviously just sucks because you're going to be creating a whole bunch of garbage. First and strong seems appealing, but I really don't like this because it tends to break down the wave into one giant rush. Because the first is just going to be targeting whatever is closest, so the stuff behind it isn't going to be damaged. But then when it's on strong, it's going to be targeting the stuff behind first, if you kind of know what I'm saying in most situations. And when that happens, you get like a whole bunch of junk straight in your face, and you can get pierce capped unless you have like a super high pierce tower, like I guess Bloons Solver does that in some cases. But in general, I think first and close is just most consistent. Close is going to be targeting kind of where that tower is, so usually it's going to be more at the end of the track, and where that is where your first target is going to be. So a lot of times it's just going to be targeting roughly the first thing too. It just doesn't give me issues, and it's nice and consistent. So as you can see there on those ZOMG rounds, those DDT rounds, just use that Tech Tear ability and they are done. So whatever the Bloons Solver can't really handle, I just use that Tech Tear ability and it's gonna be good. Now because this is a pretty easy map, I didn't really have to spend much on anything else, and we're just chilling through this just fine. So I decided I'll go for another tier 5 tower too, while we basically destroy everything with that ability. So I get an Icicle Impale, and this is going to make these DDTs a lot easier. Normally, if you don't have this, I would have gone like for Sabo, maybe even 2 Sabos, a press or so, use a bunch of Geraldo items. Everything's going to be really good with that, but I was able to go for an Icicle Impale. On harder maps, you can't really seem to get away with like this expensive tier 4, another tier 5, and another fairly moderately priced tier 5, but here I can, and it's going to be super easy. As you can see there on round 98, I just obliterated it and destroyed that with the rejuves. We're going to take out 100 there, super cool, and that's just that. Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!